So some of you have made comments about the Murdaugh verdict and it being guilty. Yes, he is found guilty. And I just want to comment back to you that this is not the end all be all. Yes, people are found guilty every day and we think they're going to get locked up and the key's going to be thrown away, and in this case 2 life sentences. But I can assure you there will be an appeal in this case. I can promise you there will be. This guy's a lawyer, for heaven's sakes. He is going to appeal. And he's going to also have that insider information on how to find that one piece of something that was done wrong, because that is all they need to appeal this case. And I promise you they will. Already I've heard his attorney talking about, you know, the whole Netflix documentary. How in the world was he expected to get a fair trial by a jury when there's a whole documentary that makes him look guilty out there on Netflix in everybody's home? Pretty good point. So all they have to show is that he was not given a fair trial. They're also going the route of, did the judge let too much other information in? Because this was a conviction on murder. Just murders. But it wasn't a conviction on his financial issues. It wasn't a conviction on the drugs. You know, this really did not have to do with that information, and they went pretty deep into that information. So, did the judge make a mistake in allowing all of that to be presented in a murder trial? Because they are going to make a case that yes, he did. They are going to make a case that caused Alex to not get a fair trial. So, places I personally think they kind of messed up. This is just me. And if they do get a new trial, these are the things that I, if it was me, would specify and do a little differently that I think could also benefit Alex. All right, I will just preface this by saying I do believe Alex Murdaugh is guilty. So none of you have to go in the comments and write a whole bunch of comments about how guilty of sin he is. I'm right there with you. Yeah, I think he's guilty of sin. But if it was me and I was somebody who did something like this and was looking for a way out, I think there's some key pieces that Alex and his lawyers missed. So one, the thing that the jury said why they convicted Alex, the one main piece of evidence that they looked at, that they said, all right, that was it, that was the censure, was the video on Paul's phone. And if you don't know what this video is, on Paul's phone there was a video right before the murders, literally taken in the kennels, and it had Alex's voice on the video. Multiple people got on stand and said, yes, that's Alex's voice on that video. So, why is that pertinent to this case? Well, Alex said he wasn't down at the kennels. Clearly he was. And that sealed the deal for a lot of people. What I think the opportunity, I think that Alex and his lawyer missed, was to use that piece of evidence in their favor. Because they could have. And if they did, I didn't see it. You can fill me in the comments if they did. But that could have really been spun in his favor. There's a couple points he could have made. First of all, he could have said, okay, let's listen to the video. Listen to me on the video, listen to Maggie on the video, listen to Paul on the video. What do you hear? It's a normal, everyday situation. Paul's in the kennel with the dogs. Maggie, it sounds like, is helping to get things ready at the kennel, taking care of the dogs. And Alex is out there doing whatever with his dog, chasing it around maybe because it sounds like it got a chicken and they're trying to get it away from the dog. So it sounds like an everyday kind of family situation. No one sounds angry. Nobody is arguing. There is nothing in that video that should say in just a few minutes, Alex is going to kill Paul. There is nothing. In fact, if anything, Alex, I really feel, could have spun that in his favor and said, if I can drive straight here, and said, what about that would make you think that I killed my son? Because there's nothing, absolutely nothing. In fact, if anything, to me, it almost makes him look more innocent than guilty. That's just me. He could have used that in his favor. Okay, so number 2, lying about being at the kennel. I think he could have kind of spun that in a better way too, because he is a lawyer and he knows that people are often, the person who killed someone is often the last person who saw them, right? We know this. That's just common known. And Alex was the last person who saw him. So as a lawyer, he could have said, look, I prosecute cases like this all the time. I know how this looks. And I know they would have blamed me. I wasn't going to place myself anywhere near those kennels. He could have said he left before the murders happened. He could have made a case for that. There's nothing to say that he didn't. And all that pacing and stuff could have been him walking back up to the house. For all we know, there were like 200 and something paces on his phone, I think, if I remember right. Footsteps, you know, all of a sudden it's like there were more footsteps. He could have made up something for that too. But my thoughts are, he could have said, I know how this looks. I am a lawyer. I do this all day long. I convict people on these exact same things, and I know I could convict someone on that. I know how that looks. So I could not place myself at the scene. Being that I am innocent, I know that's going to make me look guilty. He also could have just said that he knows that the whole situation, it's with the spouse. Often it's the spouse that gets blamed. So again, another reason to remove him from the scene and say he was never there or never around his spouse at that time, because people again are going to assume it was him. So there were some pretty I thought heavy weighted piece of evidence. I know Paul had, I'm just going to say, accidentally killed the girl that night. I don't think he meant to do it on purpose, but he was acting like an idiot and being foolish, and did end up killing a girl in the boat that crashed, in the boat crash. Paul did have people that didn't like him, obviously, for that. And Alex really focused on that as his defense and said people were out to get Paul, and that was really his main focus, was that people were out to get Paul. Well, maybe. I mean, he could have said that, but he could have also used that other evidence too. So, my thoughts are, and I do think this could possibly be overturned, and I only say that because if you watched my reading on it, you will know that we got the magician, and the magician works magic. The magician makes things disappear. And I just question what's going to happen on the appeal. So if it's appealed and it goes back to the regular courts and he gets a retrial, then, you know, maybe he can make it look different. Maybe they will say that he did not get a fair trial, and how could he, with a whole documentary on his case, which goes back to how much can the media get involved in cases before they even go to trial, and how much should they, what's right, what's wrong, you know, and we could go on all day for that, but I don't know that there's ever going to be an end to that, as much as we want to give everyone a fair trial. So those are my thoughts. You can share yours in the comments if you have any other ways you think Alex Murdaugh can get off on this, because there is a potential. I think he's got a pretty good appeal. I will say only 5% of appealed cases actually are overturned to the other, you know, so they're not guilty, but that's still 5%, and I don't know. While he looks guilty of sin, I could also see all you need to have something overturned is reasonable doubt. You don't have to say the person's innocent. You don't. You just have to make it look like someone else could have committed that crime. And that's the thing that I think with the whole, there's a lot of reasons why somebody else could have committed that crime, even though I do believe Alex did it. I'm just saying, I think they've got a pretty good shot at appeal. We'll wait and we'll see. Take care, people. Bye-bye.